أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. You know, every single one of us at some point in our lives has to face that ache of separation. It could be a relationship that ends, a loved one who passes on, or just a chapter of life closing. And in that really fragile space, we're often left wondering, how do we let go? How do we do it without losing a piece of ourselves in the process?
So let's dive right into this, because this idea is really at the heart of what we're exploring today. Think about it. Our world is obsessed with closure. We're told to just move on and to do it fast. But the Qur'an, it offers something profoundly different. It shows us a path that actually honors the process, a path that teaches us how to release with dignity and grace in a way that keeps our soul intact. And to understand this, we're going to turn to Sūrah al-Baqarah. We're looking at verses that deal with those incredibly delicate moments after a relationship ends. And this isn't just about dry legal rulings. No, this is about divine tenderness reaching into one of the most human spaces there is, the space of a broken heart. Now, what's so powerful here is the sequence. The Qur'an establishes boundaries. It lays out rights, yes. But immediately after doing that, it turns to the emotional reality of it all, the ache. It acknowledges that even when things end for all the right reasons, it still hurts. And this divine word is a direct, compassionate response to that very real human pain. So what is that response? How does the Quran help us navigate this? Well, it provides something we can think of as a container for our grief. It gives us a structure, an outer framework that's literally designed to hold our emotions with dignity, especially when we feel like we might just fall apart. And this structure has a name, the iddah, or the waiting period. This is such a crucial concept. It's not a punishment, and it's not a confinement. Think of it more as a spiritual discipline. It's like a divinely given pause button that stops our loss from descending into chaos. It gives us time for our emotions to settle and for some clarity to finally emerge. For a widow, this period is very specific, 4 months and 10 days. And this divinely fixed time, it's not random. It's a profound mercy. It's designed to allow a full cycle of emotional processing, to ensure there's clarity about family lineage, and maybe most importantly, to preserve a woman's honor and dignity during a time of incredible vulnerability. But here's where it gets even more beautiful. The Quran is constantly pointing us beyond just the letter of the law. The rules are there to provide a foundation, right? They're the minimum standard. But the real spiritual goal, that's to reach for a higher ethic, one that's just filled with mercy and generosity. And this is where a key term, maruf, comes in. You see it over and over in these verses. It means to act with customary goodness, with what is recognized as fair and dignified by a good-hearted, morally aware community. It pulls us away from these cold, abstract calculations, and it grounds us in a living, warm community ethic. And then you have fadl. This is the call to not forget the mutual graciousness that once defined the relationship. It's this gentle encouragement to keep the spirit of that relationship alive with kindness, even after its form has ended. It's about giving generously, way beyond what's strictly required by the rules.
This chart just illustrates it perfectly. You've got 2 levels here. On one side, there's the law, the minimum, fulfilling your obligations, paying what's due. That's the baseline. But the aspiration, the path that's closer to true God consciousness or taqwa, that's in the spirit of the law. It's about forgiving a right, showing that generosity, that fadl, and embodying excellence. In fact, the Quran explicitly says that to forgive, to waive one's own right, is closer to taqwa.
So that's the outer structure. Now let's go deeper. Let's move to the inner dimension. Because these verses, they're not just for people navigating a divorce or widowhood. No, they contain a universal teaching for every single soul about our relationship with attachment, with loss, and with the inner art of release. This is the Sufi, or the Batin understanding. The great scholar Al-Ghazālī gives us this incredible diagnosis. Think about it. Our clinging, it's not just about love. It's about the ego's terror of emptiness, the sheer fear of loss. So from this perspective, that waiting period, the iddah, it's actually a spiritual training ground for the heart. It's designed to teach us to sit with that fear and to resist the urge to immediately rush and fill that empty space. And then Rumi comes and just reframes the entire experience for us. The ruin of an ending doesn't have to be just ruin. He's saying that if we can just stay present with that feeling, if we don't try to escape it, that very place of brokenness can become a doorway to a deeper spiritual treasure, to a profound connection with the divine.
So this is the really crucial point. Ibn Ata'illah warns us against what we might call a spiritual bypass. You know, that rush for closure, that desire to just get over it and move on? He's telling us that's actually a subtle way of running away. And the Quran, in its infinite wisdom, calls us to do the opposite, to stay, to wait, to process, and to heal authentically in real time. So if we put it all together, here's that inner diagnosis. Why do we cling so tightly? We cling because we're afraid of the emptiness. We rush for closure because we want to avoid feeling pain. We start to confuse possessing someone with truly connecting with them. And at the very root of it all, we forget. We forget that our one true anchor, our only real source of security, is God alone. And that's why the Quranic guidance, waiting, being generous, turning back to prayer, is the perfect remedy. Okay, so let's bring all of these threads together now and see how this ancient wisdom actually gives us a timeless framework for healing, a framework that speaks so directly to our modern understanding of the human heart and mind. I absolutely love this metaphor of healing architecture. A great architect doesn't try to eliminate empty space in a building, right? They contain it, they give it shape, they make it beautiful and functional. Well, in the very same way, this divine guidance doesn't try to eliminate our pain or grief. Instead, it provides a safe, sacred structure to contain it, which allows true healing to finally take place within that space. And isn't it amazing how perfectly this aligns with modern psychology? We know today that rituals are incredibly powerful tools for stabilizing us when our world feels chaotic. We understand that grief isn't a problem to be solved, but a process that needs time. And we recognize how badly we need an anchor, a practice like prayer, shalah, to reroot our sense of self when a relationship that used to define us is gone. The Quran laid out this entire structure for us centuries ago. It's just incredible. So, this brings the question right back to each one of us, to our own lives. This wisdom isn't just for these huge life events. It applies to every ending, big or small. A job, a friendship, even just a phase of life. Where are we rushing to get to the next thing instead of just pausing to honor what is past with dignity, with patience, and with grace? And so we'll close with this really beautiful, gentle prayer, a conversation from the heart. O Lord of endings and beginnings, teach my heart to release without breaking. Let time become a mercy, not a wound, and return me to you, whole, not shattered. Amen. This exploration was compiled with so much gratitude by Mir Ali Shah, a fellow seeker who's sharing through the Living the Wisdom of the Quran series. We humbly ask for forgiveness for any of our errors and for acceptance of this small effort, especially for any AI-related mispronunciations or mistakes. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.